call this meeting to order the Nacogdoches City and Planning and Zoning Commission for the Monday, October 14th, 2019 session. We'll call this meeting to order. First item is the minutes from our last meeting. If we could review those and if there's any. One thing I see is the date.
The date off?
Yeah, the date's off.
Yeah, July 8th.
Mm.
On the approval of minutes.
Yeah.
This is July 8th.
It's right here.
Yeah.
And
I'd
for-
make a motion to approve as long as that date gets corrected on the final.
I see it in two places, approval of minutes and then the minutes at the top, yeah. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to number 3. Agenda item 3 is a public hearing considering ordinance approving a specific use permit within the city of Nacogdoches for 4925/5001 Northwest Stallings Drive, Lot 18, City Block 95, parcel ID 26729.
Good evening, members of the commission. I'm Keith Kiplinger, your fire chief, the director of inspection services, and your interim city planner. Leo Manti took a job with the city of Fort Worth, and so for the next few months, we'll be spending a good bit of time together going through this process. As a matter of introduction, in my last job, I spent 7 years and I had planning and zoning within my group of companies inside the city that I worked for. So I'm not completely familiar with what we do here. I'm trying to get up to speed. I spent the last 3 weeks studying and reading the zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations backward and forward, but I am not unfamiliar with the zoning process or state laws that relate to it. So this first project that we're going to talk about is between the addresses of 4925 and 5001 Northwest Stallings Drive. It is roughly situated in the area of the DPS driver's license office, north of Ken Folks Restaurant, if you're familiar with that. This site is currently on the north part of the parcel is currently a recreational vehicle park. The south part of the parcel is currently a storage building sales facility for sort of portable buildings. The intent is to reclassify this with a specific use permit for a recreational vehicle park on the entire property, but to continue doing basically the operations that they're doing on the south half of the property, at least for this time. Long term, this a little over 11-acre piece of property should develop out to as many as 119 recreational vehicle spots that will be of a higher quality and higher caliber, we hope, than what is currently there. The lot currently does have an RV park on site, and if you had the opportunity to drive by or take a look at it, you will see that several of those are in disrepair, and what we're talking about doing here is the opportunity to elevate that site to something a little better. And I don't seem to be able to click through the slides here. Can you go just, okay. In any case, the factors that we need to consider before approving the specific use permit are the existing land use, the zoning, the future land use, the compatibility with the area, orderly growth and development, supporting facilities, drives and parking, nuisances, lighting, and landscaping. This site is uniquely situated to be a recreational vehicle park because it is not located next to a single-family residential district. Those things are kind of a little bit of noise and a little bit of coming and going at different times of day. So this is a uniquely situated piece of land. It's also adjacent to a truck stop, so the noise and light pollution should be minimal. Landscaping, the owners or the prospective owners have said they intend to exceed the city's landscaping requirements, but certainly they will have to comply with those requirements. Staff does recommend several specific use permit conditions that we attach to the specific use permit. The specific use permit process allows you the opportunity to put some conditions on the occupancy of the property that if they're not followed, the property becomes in violation, and theoretically that it would revert back to just being a B2 general business. Those recommendations are that no hazardous materials be stored on premises, that it be kept clean and free of debris and available for inspection at all times. The owner must satisfy requirements related to safety signage, landscaping, paving, parking, construction, dumpster enclosure, utilities, and development. The driveways, internal roads, and parking areas will be constructed of an all-weather surface as approved by the city engineer. The owner must maintain all requirements related to safety, signage, landscaping, paving, parking, construction, dumpster enclosure, utilities, and development in perpetuity. Only passenger and recreational vehicles will be allowed, and at no time mobile homes, manufactured homes, or industrialized homes will be allowed. Separation will meet the fire code. Length of stay will not exceed 180 days, which allows their business the opportunity to attract snowbirds, but it also keeps this from becoming a residential development. We also recommend that the permit expire and the property revert back to B2 general business if the owner fails to commence construction with 180 days or be substantially complete within 2 years. If the use is abandoned in the future for a period of 180 days, we also recommend that the SUP be lifted and it revert back to B2 general business. We have spoken with the prospective owners, Keith Sosha. They are here to speak to this tonight, but they are completely comfortable with those conditions. You also have the opportunity to add any other conditions that you feel are appropriate after the public hearing.
Does each site currently, does it tie into city at that particular site, or do they have one central dump station there?
I can't tell you what the current site has. The future site will have a clean out and dump station because that's required in a recreational vehicle park now. And it will also have showers, bathroom facilities, and all that in a fixed location. So there'll be a clubhouse, if you will, which are all things that are required. And that'll be required with the development of the project. So while we're expanding the size of the recreational vehicle park, the only thing that can happen is that we improve the condition of it at this point. Does that?
Was this park, did it pre-exist the annexation of that area? Is that why was it grandfathered in?
I can't speak to that, but I make the assumption because they're only allowed with a specific use permit. So
Right.
I assume that either the annexation or the creation of the zoning ordinance with those zoning districts, that it predated that.
Okay.
Couple of questions. One, you have all driveways, internal roads, and parking areas should be constructed of all-weather surface. Is that just, gravel, just passable, or is it paved, or what is? I guess it's up to the engineer, I
So
guess.
it's up to the city engineer, and we have standards. Generally speaking, that's going to mean pavement. Based on what the socials are trying to accomplish here, pavement is the appropriate material. There is some advantage to using a crushed granite
Yeah.
product or something like that that allows some of the water through, and it also is kind of a nicer surface for that kind of deal. So we'll let the engineering.
I knew it had to do with the fire trucks as well and that sort of thing also.
Absolutely. So we will have at least some paved roads. We don't need necessarily every pad site doesn't need to be paved for what we do in the fire world. But some of this is going to have to be regular, either asphalt or concrete.
Okay. The other question I have is the length of stay for recreational vehicles not to exceed 180 days. How is that policed, I guess, or is it just that's just the main thing, that we have some way of knowing that, again, that we don't have long-term people moving and living there,
So luckily, because I also have code enforcement, can turn my hat a third of the way around, and we'll talk about that. The way that that's enforced is going to be on a complaint basis. So if it becomes problematic and we have to go through that process, we will do so. But as far as us daily checking it, we really don't have a manner in which to do that. Certainly, you could write a condition that the owners have to maintain a log. That could be an additional condition that you put on it that includes when they came in and when they left. Basically, what you do with the 180 days is you allow them to drive out the front and drive back in, but at least they can drive. At least it's a mobile unit and it doesn't sit on the site and deteriorate. And I think that was really, really our objective as much as anything, is to make sure if it becomes residential, it's not a constantly deteriorating residential neighborhood. So.
I hate to ask you this because I know you just took over this job. We've had several, it seems like, specific use permits come through in the last few months. maybe a year or so. One of the questions one of my concerns long-term is, when you have this many conditions, how are we memorializing that?
It's an excellent
In
question. So
records.
effective the day that I took over, we are going to do that by ordinance.
Okay.
And so the specific use permit, along with the legal description in the header, and then all of those conditions will be memorialized by ordinance. Now, it won't be codified as like we would codify the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
But there will be a city ordinance on file in perpetuity that has that. And so it's enforceable because the city council will vote on that.
Yeah, because
and-
going back and trying to dig up minutes and figure out.
Exactly, and the city
Impossible.
attorney, so we memorialize everything by resolution or ordinance in my former job, and so my first meeting with the city attorney, I suggested that, and he got giddy. He seemed quite happy with that idea. So we're going to start doing that, and the ordinance is already drafted. You don't have a copy of it because I don't have a legal description. And so and Jeff Davis, our city attorney, is currently working on making sure that all of my whereases are in the right place. And so it will be prepared before the city council meeting, before this goes to council in November.
Okay, that's great.
So-
So,
It'll be
and
easy
I
to
will,
reference.
we will send you a copy of that ordinance so you have an idea what it looks like, but it will mirror whatever conditions you vote on tonight are the conditions that will go forward to city council.
In the other permits that we've had I know this is not on the agenda, but maybe we should add it for a future meeting, suggesting that we memorialize those in ordinances as well from the last year or so. If you all want to add that to a future meeting, we can recommend that to city council.
Actually, staff I can simply have that conversation with
Okay.
Mr. Davis, if that's okay, and
Yeah.
I'll just, I don't know if there's an omnibus way we could do that, or if it would be taking the time to go through and create a
Yeah.
new ordinance for each one, but we can certainly look at that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
each one is very specific.
Very
and so,
unique,
And
yeah.
so it needs to be, like you said, memorialized, so something easy to reference to go back to be able to enforce.
So, and basically, when we create it as a city ordinance, basically, we also create, and I don't want to say a criminal enforcement deal, but it's violating a city ordinance if you don't follow the rules. And so it is a citable offense.
Right.
Or chargeable offense, so.
So who
in municipal
polices
court.
that? Who actually polices that? You?
Code enforcement.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Just making sure.
That's why I went to Fire Academy in college.
Yeah.
So I could police the ordinance for RV park.
Yeah.
All right.
Just one small question. You said that the 180 days to be enforced by complaint. Who would we expect to actually complain?
So you'd be shocked at who complains on a daily basis.
I'm giving, no, I was thinking, given the location of this, I was
Absolutely,
just wondering. Yeah.
absolutely. I think what's going to happen is these sites, the current recreational vehicle park that's up there probably has flown under the radar for having a city inspection on a periodic basis. This increased business enterprise it'll have a city inspection. So I can't speak to when the last fire inspection was of the RV park, because right now there's nothing really for the fire inspectors to inspect. It's all private residences. There's no commercial building, and so we inspect commercial buildings, but they haven't been looking at the park. I can assure you that now they're on the radar, so at least once a year you'll have a fire inspector going through, and if conditions look like they're bad, then they refer those to the health inspectors and the code enforcement officers and the building inspectors. So there is a way to close that loop, and this increased activity will help us do that. So
So if anything appears to look like someone is enhancing their pad with a permanent
you
sort
mean
of
like when they build a
structure.
building over their RV?
Yeah, like that sort
Or
of
deck
thing.
off the front.
Yeah.
We're going to do that, and so it is like the conversation that I have with associates is we don't have any concerns about the prospective owners that are going to build this, but the prospective owners that are before you tonight aren't necessarily the owners that are here 20 years from now, and very likely it'll be somebody different. And so we want to make sure that you have whatever's in here to make you feel comfortable for the health, safety, and aesthetics of our community. Because it's going to outlive all of us. And Ms. Day, you're more than welcome to complain. You have my cell number came in the email, so you're more than welcome to call me at any time. So,
Any other questions for Keith?
No
and I'll come back after.
Yeah. This is an open meeting, so anybody like to speak for or against, feel free to step up and to speak. you'll state your name for us?
I'm Keith Sosha.
Yes, sir.
Are you RJ?
I am,
What's the
yes.
full- How you doing? I'm Keith Sosha, and this is not our first RV park to build. I've built 5 or 6 of these things in the last 4 or 5 years, over the years. And basically what we want to do is we want to take something ugly and make it pretty. Okay? We're going to new office, new facilities, new everything, new roads, new everything. Y'all be proud when you drive by and look next time if y'all, just give us some consideration for this project. And the 6-month thing that he's talking about, the 180, there's a reason for that number, just so you'll understand. You get a lot of people from Colorado coming down here and they want to camp in Texas. They want to stay a little longer than 90 days.
Yeah.
They want to stay the whole winter. So that's the number we came up with. We don't want RVs out there with window units hanging out the door like is out there now, and you can see it for yourself. And all that's going to go away. Okay, and we think we can get this thing, finish this project in about a year. Probably takes us a year to complete the whole thing, but it'll be nice and y'all be proud when we get through. Okay?
Is there
Thank you.
anything special y'all plan to do out there to draw
There's
people to
a
your?
lot of stuff but I ain't sure I'm supposed to tell you all that. I don't want to get into a catch-22 here, but the rec room is going to be nice. The new offices, the new showers, the new laundromat, maybe even a pool. Okay, it'll be nice. Be paved parking, pull through parking spaces, and it's going to be nice. It'll be nice. Okay. Any more questions?
And you're okay with all these conditions?
Oh
You
yeah,
understand them?
yeah. There's nothing there that we can't live with. I promise.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Vicki Sosha, and so I just want to kind of give you a little bit of my take on why we have even chosen to do this endeavor. We're RVers ourselves and have made many RV trips, and I'm from Nacogdoches, and so the one thing that I know that we don't have and haven't had is a nice RV park, for the winter Texans to come through. I know my parents were winter Texans. It's, as far as they're traveling, they would leave here and go down to Rockport. But this is a prime location. It's got so many things to offer for people that don't even know what's here. We've got the Caddo Mounds, we've got the Stone Fort. It's the oldest town in Texas, and that's what I really want to bring out too on our advertising as we begin to work through these RV magazines and get our advertising out there, because that's our intention. I mean, we want that park full. We want to bring, revenue into this community, and we've got awesome shops that to shop in here. We've got great tea rooms. We've got great different things. We don't live here currently right now, but we're in Redland. But I will be here a lot because it's just this is our retirement. We're building this so that we have something to support us for the future, and we want to keep it nice, and and that's what we intend on doing.
So ultimately, there'll be 119 spots. Is that what I read somewhere?
Up to.
Okay. So you're going to kind of phase it in, I take it?
It would be phased in.
Okay.
It would be for us to. The goal is to, on the section that's vacant and open, we will build the new spaces there.
Sure.
As we rent out through the old spots. We're going to go on ahead, and several of those immediately are going to have to leave, but. Get that developed, and then we will turn and redo the other development. We will, of course, the first thing, we are going to focus on getting an office and good laundry and shower facilities built. That's very crucial to a successful park. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Any other questions from you?
What's the going rate for a nightly stay?
Right
in
now,
our area?
Right now they're charging, I think, like 30 is what it is, but our intention is going to be a minimum of 40, and so we haven't.
I'm just curious.
Yes. So
Anything else?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
thank
very
you.
Anyone else? I'll keep you.
And the 119 number sounds arbitrary, When you reach 120, it triggers interior parking lot landscaping requirements and some other requirements in various other codes. Their initial application was for plus or minus 110. And so what we did was just say, let's set the absolute outside limit at 119. I'm not confident that the site will even facilitate 119 sites just because of the unique geography. So, but that just sets an absolute maximum not to exceed. So,
Okay. Now, I'd like to make a motion to approve special use permit 19-03 with the conditions as staff recommended here in agenda item 3.
I'd second.
All's in favor?
Is that including to maintain a log? Do we get to add that in?
No, we haven't, but we can talk about it.
Let's discuss that, yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, if there's gonna be a time limit, if it's not recorded in some way, then,
We'll have records of everybody that stays there and the whole length of the time that they're there on our
Okay.
computer. There won't be a problem with that at all.
okay.
We don't have a problem at all.
So it's not onerous to maintain that, you already have that information.
Yeah, we
We will be able to monitor that and keep up with how long somebody stays, yes. Not a problem
If
at all.
it becomes an issue, then it'd be real easy to go back to your
Yes,
logbook and
yes.
say, hey, look, they checked in on this date and
At
it's,
any given time,
yeah.
we should be able to go back and look in our records and find out how long that council's been on that spot.
Sorry, I just,
No, that's fine. We should have a, then we should make sure it's clear that
Yeah.
we're gonna keep a record.
Yeah.
Since you're already doing it anyway.
okay.
Should I withdraw or we can,
what do you think, thoughts on that?
what do you wanna do? You wanna withdraw that motion and then?
Yeah, I think
Or do you
we'll-
wanna vote it down and propose
Let's
another
withdraw
one?
that motion and,
Yeah.
and then, make it with that one change.
All right, I'll withdraw.
Withdraw it. And then, is there a motion to,
Yeah, I'll make another motion to approve special use permit 19-03 with the recommendations as listed here in agenda item 3, plus the requirement that the property, well, I guess operators, keep a log of vehicle, RV, I should say, instead of vehicle, use of the property so we can determine who's been there for more than 180 days.
I think that's good, because like you say, even after, yeah.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 4. This public hearing, again, consider a request for a specific use permit for a light manufacturing company in a B2 general business zoning district on lot 95E-2, city block 56, parcel ID 35346, generally located at 3804 South Street.
Mr. Bohack, Commissioners, this project is to allow the expansion of Mass Motorsports, a local business. The facility located at that address is currently Elliott Electric Supply. They have constructed a new facility up on the north side of town, and so they were going to be moving out. It's a very unique facility in that it has some warehousing, it has a little bit of retail. It's sort of a split facility. If you've been by it, then you kind of understand what I'm saying. They were able to find an occupant that needed room to expand, and it absolutely fits their needs perfectly. Mass Motorsports proposes to do some assembly of parts in that facility. They're going to make a few structural changes to the building, move an overhead door from one side to another, and they're not going to have a retail presence, but it should actually decrease the impact on the neighborhood because there will be less comings and goings because it'll be light manufacturing. In the B2 General Business District, light manufacturing is allowed with a specific use permit, and staff's taken a look at the compatibility of the area, the future land use in the area, and the impact to the neighbors. This project only adds a specific use permit to the front portion the side to the west. So if you actually look at the lot that they are purchasing, it's a little bit hard to see, but the lot that they are purchasing, there is a brown shaded area that is zoned R4, which is kind of our heavy residential district. So the site we're talking about is the pink on the front. So that lot is actually one tract of land, but it's zoned two different ways. So this would only impact the part that's zoned B2. So there is still going to be a buffer between the residential areas along Old Lufkin Road and this business that's located on I-59 because of its location to transportation and the other businesses in the area. It seems to be consistent with orderly growth. Staff has found that there would be no adverse impacts related to the development. The rehabilitation of the building shouldn't create an adverse impact on anything, as it will be very minimal. The development will be located along the future I-69 corridor, so it allows plenty of transportation options for employees. There's a few photographs of other businesses in the area. Staff does recommend a couple of conditions along with this, that the applicant must occupy the facility as light industrial or light manufacturing within 12 months of today. And if the use is abandoned for a period of 180 days, the specific use permit automatically removes itself and the property reverts back to B2. Staff does not have any other conditions listed because all that's going to be happening is inside of the building. There's not really anything significant on the outside of the building. There's no rail spur for trains. There's no big operations that anybody would notice. But we certainly would entertain any other conditions that the commission desires. And I'll answer any questions you have.
A couple of quick questions. And so, make sure that I understand. So, it's not real clear on this map, but, so the building and then the parking lot, I guess that'd be to the north of that? Is that gonna be?
Trying to find a map that you can actually see it on. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it is.
So it is the building and the parking lot to the north.
Okay.
So it's that entire parcel, it's the western portion of that entire parcel
Yeah.
where the zoning district breaks.
Got it. Okay. And so then, and like again, you said there is a buffer, a small B2 that goes behind that building.
It's B4.
B4?
Yeah. So if you looked at the brown shaded area behind it, and again, I apologize, it's a little hard to see on
Yeah.
this map. We'll zoom in a little bit for next month, but
Yeah.
so the black line outlines the commercial, the B2 general business zoning district. The back portion of that, there is a section of brown, and then you'll see another parcel line,
Got it.
and that's actually the back. So it's not been subdivided. It is one parcel with two zoning districts, which is, it's not uncommon. When they created the zoning maps, in many cases they called out 300 feet from the center of the road or 200 feet from the right of way, as opposed to following the parcel lines, which kind of jig-jag. They sort of drew some straight lines, and over time those have sort of morphed and changed because you guys will let the whole tract become one zone, and we'll do that. But at this time, the only request is this SUP for the front or western portion of that tract, which is the building in that parking lot to the north.
Got it. Any other questions? Thank you, Ken. This is a public hearing. If there's anybody like to speak for or against, feel free to come up to the microphone.
I think you already hear from somebody anyway. I'm trying to see where my lot is on that map. Anyway, I'm Robert All. I live at 3703 Old Lufkin Road, and the Mast Enterprise, I really like the way they keep up their property. If they do just a good job over where Ellis Electric is, I don't have any concerns at all. Hell, they've always been a good neighbor. They've kept up with their end of the deal and kept it looking nice. And the more businesses that we have on that section of road, the happier I am with it. So.
Yeah.
And I wish there's another lot right in there. I keep hoping Cracker Barrel will move in there. That's my plans for it, because that way I could just walk in my backyard and I
That'd be
could
nice.
put a gate in the fence and eat a Cracker Barrel every Saturday. But I think that's a good move for everybody, at least on my part of the neighborhood anyhow, so,
Thank you very much.
okay.
Anyone else? All right. And if you don't mind, will you, I don't seem to see, I may be overlooking it, where it says what their stipulations are.
It's at the very end, a recommendation. And it is the only ones that I have written, that they have to occupy within 12 months, and then if it's ever abandoned for 180 days, it just reverts back.
Okay, just, like if they sell the business or do something different, then that
So they could sell the business and just continue operating the way they are. They could sell the building, and somebody else with a very similar product could come right in and continue doing it. But if they ever abandon it, let's say they sell it and it goes back to being an electrical supply house, then after 6 months, this SUP would pull off. So they're still permitted by right to do whatever they could do in B2 in addition to
SUP.
the light manufacturing with the SUP. So this just gives them more opportunities.
Oh, got it.
And the light manufacturing, I guess the reason why it's its own separate zone is probably for nuisance purposes, like there are gonna be emissions from the plant. or
Smoke,
like-
smells, vibrations, light, odd hours of work that conflict with, and so this is not going to have any impact off-site. There will be no impact off-site. If they do, then it's no longer becomes light manufacturing. At some point, it becomes industrial, and
Right.
That's a whole different.
there's a stepping across that line. So as long as it's contained in the building, it doesn't have vibration. So this is a lighter use than a machine shop would be, for example, which would be a more industrial use. A trailer manufacturing facility would be a heavier industrial use. This has got to be short of those things, and so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody like to make a motion or any other questions? I'm sorry. Is there any other questions? Anybody would like to make a motion for or against?
Mr. Deppish is the formal motion
All right.
maker.
I was gonna let somebody else
He's
do
the
it.
golden tongued
Um,
attorney.
All right, I will make a motion
Don't twist your arm.
to approve a specific use permit 19-04 with the conditions that the applicant must occupy the facility as a light industrial use within 12 months, and if the use is abandoned for a period of 180 days, then the permit will automatically be removed and the property will revert to a B2 general business.
I
Second.
second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes as well. Great, I think that is the last on our agenda. We will we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
All right.
Jerry, here you are. Yeah. You want me to do it today or when? Tomorrow sometime? If you don't see me by in the morning, call me because I may forget, but I'll be happy to.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, my 40th.
Hey, you're old.
I haven't got a whole lot of support today. Thanks a lot.
You need to tell them about you trying to take a nap all day.
Yeah, I tried to take a nap today in the middle of the day. I thought, boy, I don't have much going on.
You saw that meeting in November.
Yeah.
Back in the same place,
Well,
5:30.
It's not so bad. I'm about to be 41.
Okay.
We're in good shape, though. All right.
Good
job.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you very much.
You won't regret it.
Just like
Yeah, I'm glad y'all are doing that. I appreciate y'all being able.
Good to meet you, man, finally in person. I saw your name, I said, there ain't two of them.
No, we're down on business, yeah, for sure, yeah. Did y'all receive it? Well, I'm excited for you. That'd be fun. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Glad to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a lay down deal. That's plenty of room.
So we always went out here, because you may say, I don't want to do that.
I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That for sale, so I bet there over a year.
I
All we do is just let it space in the road, keep it driving down. We finally got into
I know it's red like somebody does on the
Yeah, that's all he is, and he's selling 10 or 12 tracks there in that area. They've got some up westward that comes behind the hotel there, the hotel right there.
It's a good opportunity to go in and change
Oh,
things
okay.
around. Because
So I'm glad, that's a letdown, there's plenty of them, I would have more people complain about not having.
It's not just you coming
You'll be able to.
No, it's good for you.
Thank you.
Yes,
That's what he
It's
said.
not just saying like we're the new landlords and we're tough. It's,
No, but this is the law.
no, thank you all for doing that.
I
think that would look great.
Oh,
And it is kind of sad for some so many RVs that they didn't have enough.
These ones you cut too, it's good.
It wasn't really an optional deal. It was a, hey, by the way.
I've got a client.
So,
Now negotiating how do we.
Go north and south, you know? And they really know that.
Yeah,
I'll let 'em know.
it's fine. I did it in my last job.
Oh, really?
It fits with, inspections. I'm gonna have building inspections, building inspection anyway. So it sort of fits with that.
I know.
The challenge is trying to get up to speed, and just trying to catch up to these projects like the associates that already met with Leo. Well, I said, stop, we're not doing anything.
That's a good point, when people, you come in and they have, yeah, the sad city, we've never had one.
And so we met and we spent an hour and a half together and kind of hashed out, hey, what would work? And really, it's my idea is that it's always, or almost always about who owns it in 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, it's right, people are excited about it.
Yeah, no, their project's great.
I did not change my name tag, I just realized.
Usually they get it for me.
I didn't even look at it.
I haven't done this in a
Oh,
while.
well.
For 13 years, I haven't done
About
this.
that.
I tried
But anyway,
to
thank you.
tell you my brain back focus on it.
Yes.
Today I was looking at
Yeah,
subdivision
and,
plats and,
I do
and,
appreciate y'all doing
You know
this.
what?
I'm just doing a little minor replat.
Your name was
I
up
got
there.
2
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay,
It
good.
was,
Six
okay.
meetings a week. I just
They
looked up
just-
the-
they
they just-
changed-
She's changed them out.
Go to every time somebody's gonna build a
Yeah,
building. I
no,
don't
no,
have people.
yeah.
People. Well, I don't have people in planning, so I have to take care of them.
So you got several hats to wear.
Hey, I appreciate you stepping in.
No, thank you for keeping me honest. I like your idea of putting the logbook. I think that was good, and we started with a blank canvas.
Well, I was wondering about, we had a question about some of the other permits we'd approved, because, you know, we had put in certain conditions, recommended certain conditions, but then it's up to city council, and we're like, what actually got approved? And you go back to the minutes, you're like, I'm not sure.
So what we will find with me is that I want everything to be just like this. So if I need to write somebody a ticket for being a jackass, I'm gonna go write them a ticket.
Well, you know, exactly, it's easy to say, hey, look.
Well,
here's-
and it's not that, it's easier, just like I take the ordinance and go, look, it's $2,000 a day for you not doing this, cause this is health and safety, and you're gonna get a ticket,
Yeah.
clean it up, and it's just easy. And I've just, too many of these, if I'm trying to take a copy of the minutes, it's what the city council said. It doesn't work for me, so,
Yeah, no, it doesn't, it's impossible.
it's just,
Yeah,
this
too
is
much.
daunting, and there's a reason. So in my last job, we had 3 reading ordinances, which is it's most common in Texas, is that you have 3 readings, you suspend the 3rd. So you read every ordinance at least twice, well, that's a pain, because you could end up something taking 2 months to get passed, so we would adopt, I think we adopted SUPs by resolution, and we even changed that to ordinance. We set it up originally to do it by resolution, so you just do it one time. But then we switched it to ordinance because of enforcement, it makes it easier, cleaner, it's just cleaner.
Yeah.
And
I
otherwise,
was
you're instead
wondering,
of in district court.
the only other thing you could do is, I don't know, file something in the property records that says, there's a, but I don't even
Yeah,
know what
so-
the
so
authority
you know-
means.
As far as the deed almost.
Yeah.
You could do that, but then we don't wanna be in the deed enforcement business, like the city of Houston has a whole fleet of lawyers that do nothing but deed enforcement.
Yeah.
Because they don't have zoning.
Because they don't have zoning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they enforce deeds at the city hall, I can't imagine.
Nightmare, I can't even, I don't think you ever get anything done. So,
Well,
You can see how well it worked out for Houston.
yeah, but you'll see,
in the next couple of months, you're gonna see a couple of changes. Mostly just tightening up and not giving away the farm on SUPs and on plan developments. I'm not giving away the farm. I live here, and I'll sit down and we'll negotiate these things at a staff level, but then you guys see something like tonight that I didn't even think about, honestly.
well, that's part of what this program is, look at 4 or 5 different eyes looking at you.
But I'm not gonna bring one to you that doesn't have conditions on it, because even if it may be more extra trees or, there's gonna be something. If we're gonna give you a specific use permit, we're
Yeah.
giving
Well, that was a sort of spot we had on one where there was a cell tower. And
Yeah, that's
it
really
was on an ag lot, and we were like, if you're gonna put that
we all
on.
got a really bad taste in our mouth about
Yeah.
that.
And they.
What'd you condition it?
Well, I wanted.
It was on the one that's there, Pearl and.
Oh, I know where it is.
Yeah, it's brand new.
But it's in a, it's not even on the hill.
No, that's all they could get, I guess. But, you know, we wanted to have, they're supposed to do landscaping, which they haven't done. I don't know if they're gonna go back and do it.
You know they're not.
No, they will. Well, they will. It's five guys that have to enforce it. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Their permits
Stream
not
site.
done. They haven't had a final yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if their electrical's not done yet. We aren't done final.
Yeah, they're supposed to do a stream side management zone.
Calendar, 'cause you know what's
I wanted to, I wanted to condition some access, like an easement
Cause then I know
and
nowhere.
No.
trail.
You'll have to come over here and hang on if you want to see that.
That's- I actually went to the city council meeting on that, didn't fly.
Was that just too much?
Yeah, you know, there's some case law about takings, but.
And Jeff always said, tell us a taking. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
no,
a
it's
regulatory
not.
taking. Yeah.
Well, I'm like, let's,
I didn't know.
it's only a taking if you
Okay.
challenge
It's
me
in
as the
office,
property
but
owner.
it's not.
Like-
It's just outside.
Like, let's, my view on it is,
Yeah,
if
negotiate on
you
the front
see
end.
that before you even negotiate, and,
Yeah,
I mean, that's up to city council.
That's what I tell all these guys that come, and I did it my last job, and I'll start doing it now, is, guys, if you put something on the table, put some skin on the table to begin with,
Yes, you do pass them.
Makes it go a
and then
lot
spray
farther.
them.
it does,
Yeah.
it does.
We
It
didn't
goes a
have,
long way.
yeah, we had a guy, you know, he's like a landman for the,
He did.
to sell the power company.
No, that's all he's, that's all he, he's a dealer.
Which
Yeah,
octane comes out.
but, I mean,
By the
yeah, I think the taking
It's down
stuff
there.
is complicated, we don't wanna just get in the habit of doing that, but we're also saying if you wanna
It's past
It's
them.
back in.
we wouldn't allow you to
Okay.
rezone this
Anyway,
tract.
I thought I need
So,
to ask.
and that's essentially what we're
Yeah.
doing by doing a specific
Yeah.
use permit or something
Well,
like that,
that's
which will
good, then
never
y'all
go
fix
away.
about
Right,
the
it's there
we can get
forever,
it
so, yeah. The one up on Appleby Sand in, Austin,
We'll have to
that they
wheel
made it
in
look
the
like a
shower.
giant
I
stupid
ain't
looking
going
flagpole, but
nowhere
at
else.
least it looked like a giant stupid
Well, that's what
flagpole.
we asked for, we said, can you make it look like a tree? And he was like, no, we can't do that, and I was like, well, I've seen a whole bunch of pictures of that, and like, but, I mean, I think that would have been a good condition, something to disguise, like, can you put a big SFA sign on it, since everybody's gonna see it?
Yeah,
Driving
like
in
a water
across
tower
the
that you
bridge
put
and
on
all that.
something,
Yeah,
They're trying.
you know, and they were like,
They've been out there.
So I don't know what we're gonna have next time. We had one that we thought was gonna, a flat, replat, but I think we're gonna just do it, Steve and I are gonna do it administratively. It's one lot, but it involved Mound Street, it's just kinda kooky. But we met today with the surveyor, and I think we can, we're ready. It looks like we can just approve it. It's not worth it.
Who are you?
And it's basically.
No, he knew her. I mean, he knew
Lines on Mound Street,
Jerry,
because it was somebody. who-
Thank you.
okay.
Apparently did the meets and bounds restrictions, 1870.
yeah, we had that out here.
Thank you, Ms. Malak.
We had that out here on the,
Thank you, Jerry. You got all that?
Yes, and I locked that door,
You know I'm
so,
gonna forget all that before tomorrow.